Nintendo 3DS gaming was designed to fit in your pocket, so naturally, I've decided to completely ruin that idea. What if I could play it on an 18.5-inch dual screen setup instead? Why, you ask? Well, in the name of science, of course. I've basically gone full mad scientist on this one. Thankfully, UPERFECT had exactly the equipment I needed. Ridiculous or genius? Well, probably a bit of both, but let's see if this actually works. Huge thanks to UPERFECT for sending over the BE185CF dual screen monitor for today's little experiment. If you fancy checking one out for yourself, there's a link down in the description. Using it also helps support the channel, so thank you if you do. Now, I've had the AYN Thor for, 9 months? Maybe a year. One thing it has definitely done is get me hooked back on 3DS and DS games again. It's become my go-to to revisit all those classics. So naturally, I started wondering, what happens if I make the screens absolutely massive? Then I remembered that AYN Thor only outputs the top screen over USB-C. Yep, brilliant planning from me. So on to plan B. I fired up Azahar on the Mac instead, which lets you open 2 screens in separate windows. That means you can line them up perfectly across both displays. And because these are touchscreen monitors, you can still tap away on the bottom screen just like you would on a real 3DS or the AYN Thor. This is Zookeeper, by the way, one of my all-time favourite 3DS games, and honestly it works surprisingly well. One thing that really surprised me though, the speakers. Portable monitors usually sound a bit, naff, but these actually sound properly loud, and there's a nice richness to them that I wasn't expecting at all. Now earlier you saw me using the touchscreen, but if you'd rather kick back on a sofa, you can just pair a controller and play from a comfortable distance as well. And honestly, that's probably my favourite way to use it. Never in a million years did I think I'd be playing 3DS games like this, but I absolutely love the ridiculousness of it. I was also convinced the image would be stretched way too far and look awful at this size, but it's actually nowhere near as bad as I expected. Is it huge? Absolutely. Is it too huge? Absolutely. But it still works, surprisingly. So Azahar for the Mac was pretty simple to set up, and it has run pretty smooth so far, no issues at all. If you're wondering why not run it through a TV instead, well, the touch input. And that's really the thing that makes this different from just throwing the game onto a TV. You've still got that second screen experience. The top screen, the bottom screen, the touch input. It's still very much a 3DS, just on a completely different scale. Now, if you actually sit back just a little from the screens, your brain adjusts surprisingly quickly. It's still a really enjoyable way to play. And this isn't just a one-trick pony either. You could have something like Switch running on the top screen, while Netflix, YouTube or a football match is playing on the bottom screen. Because apparently doing one thing at a time is no longer enough. The only slight downside is that both displays share the same speaker system, so if you're running 2 different apps, you'll have to choose which one gets the audio. Now, one thing I noticed is that if you adjust the brightness up on both screens, it starts to draw too much power, so you need to definitely plug in the included USB-C cable and wall plug. Talking of brightness, it's about 300 nits for each panel, so decently bright for any indoor condition. Now, I know how this looks. It's total madness, I agree. It's completely over the top, and I'm all for it. So what started out as a silly little experiment actually surprised me. Will I be playing 3DS like this every day? Probably not. But for those longer gaming sessions where I just want to sit back with a controller and get comfortable, I can absolutely see myself wheeling this thing out. There's definitely something to be said about having the screens up at eye level instead of craning over a handheld for hours. Getting everything connected couldn't really be much easier either. It's just a single USB-C cable, which is included in the box. And they also throw in plenty of other cables for pretty much every setup you can think of. The first thing that struck me when I picked this up though is that this thing is built like a tank. I'm not even exaggerating. It's got an aluminium alloy chassis, the kickstand feels incredibly solid, and overall it feels like a really premium bit of kit. Now that does mean it has a bit of weight to it, but it is still impressively slim though, and if you need to take this out with you, I can confirm it does fit into something like the Air Travel Pack 4 Small, which is 28 litres. There's no two ways about it. As a dual screen monitor, this is genuinely excellent. If you need extra screen space for work, editing, streaming, coding, or anything else that benefits from 2 displays, I'd happily recommend this. The build quality is superb, the panels look great, and the speakers were a really pleasant surprise. And if you're just a little bit unhinged like me, well, you've now got yourself a giant 3DS as well. It's definitely not the reason to buy one, but it's a brilliant little bonus if you're into emulation. Huge thanks again to UPERFECT for sending this thing over and letting me indulge in one of my more ridiculous ideas. If you enjoyed watching me turn a pocket-sized console into something that definitely won't fit in your pocket anymore, consider subscribing. As always, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate your time. You chose to stay when you had better things to watch, like yoga instructional videos. For health and fitness reasons, obviously. Hey, I'll catch you in the next one.